Welcome to the Academy of Sage Heroes. This video will be specifically about how we duel in the Academy. I won't go into all the details about why dueling is important in the Academy, but in practice I hope that you might come to encounter some of the reasons for yourself. There are two specific challenges that we must face internally when dueling in the Academy. I liken these two challenges to internal dragons that we must fight. The first is that I dub Leviathan, that of chaos and hedonism. Our goal here is to be firm, not effeminate, ascetic, not hedonistic, restrained by law and not anarchic. This is what it means to live honorably and not yield to Leviathan. In contrast, there's the opposing challenge, the other dragon within that we must fight during these duels, and that is Behemoth. We must be humble and not arrogant, submitted, not belligerent, accepting defeat and not addicted to competition. This is what it means to live honorably and not yield to Behemoth. What do these mean in practice, and how do they come out in the specific duels? The principle here is quite simple. Do not be too quick or too slow to tap out and acknowledge a touch. Because the first rule of all Academy duels when dueling with honor is that we call our own touches. There is no external referee arbitrating who touched whom first during the duels. Each of us works it out internally, whether it was an authentic, solid touch or just a whiff, touched only clothes, or whether it was that really on the arm or is that on the torso. It's hard to tell sometimes, and you have to judge within yourself which answer is best for your own moral development. Similarly, being cautious, overly cautious, shrinking back from an engagement instead of leaning in, or being too aggressive and trying cheap tricks to try and win at all costs. These are dishonorable ways of engaging in a duel. And the goal in these duels is not merely to win. No, the opponent that we are facing is not the person who's holding a sword facing us. It is ourselves. The person that we are dueling with is our collaborator, our assistant in helping us to challenge ourselves and the dragons within. So this is why we call our own touches. In more detailed practical terms, the standardized rules that we use across all forms of dueling in the Academy are that touches on the torso or legs count, and if you are wearing a fencing mask, touches on the head also count, and if you are wearing gloves, touches on the arms and hands also count. This is why it is not dishonorable to wear masks or gloves during dueling, because that could be setting yourself a further challenge of opening up more areas for attack in a disadvantage against the other person. Beyond that, there are several other specific rules that are unique to particular styles of combat. There are two main forms of combat that we do in the Academy. One are Shinai combat, and there is single combat. Shinai combat specifically uses Shinai, which is bamboo, and is less likely to cause injury or harm, so it is not required to wear any form of protection at all whatsoever for it. You'll get some scuffs and bruises, but likely no broken bones if everyone is careful. The ideal situation for a Shinai combat is to have 4 or more people engaged in the bout. You have 3 Shinai present, you have 1 or more people who are not carrying Shinai to begin with. They all stand in a ring and begin the duel. Only those where carrying arms are count as touches, obviously. When you call a touch on yourself, you toss the Shinai in the air, call touch, step out. Someone who's not carrying a weapon steps in, catches a Shinai, and continues the bout. There are ways to limit and define when the turn ends. You can go for time, or you can have tokens, a certain number of lives, so to speak, in a pocket, so that every time you step out, in order to get back in again, you have to leave a token behind to limit the duration of the duel. This particular one challenges your situational awareness, your agility, your strength, your endurance, and many things like that. It forces you to break out of a formulaic way of combat into something that's a bit more practical and useful in the rough and tumble life. In single combat, it is much more formalized. It is much more structured. And this is what is used when determining certain kinds of important decisions within the academy with a single combat. In single combat, whether it is with a shinai or with another form of sword, whether it's a broadsword, saber, foil, rapier, pei, whatever, what have you, if it is a metal blade, it requires having at least a fencing mask for general safety. We do not want people actually being physically harmed or damaged permanently in anything the academy does. In single combat, there's a lot more bowing involved. In single combat, each time the two opponents face each other, hold the sword, bow, maintaining eye contact as in all academy bows. Then at the ready, and begin. After a touch is called, I step back, adjudicate where they are in the bout, and then bow, ready, and then begin. When there's a winner of 2 out of 3, then you place your sword in your offhand and greet the other in the academy fashion, as you should know if you've been to an academy event. This completes the structure because you begin with the bow and then conclude with the greeting to show the unity of the two contenders. This is how we duel in the academy. Thank you for watching.